Betty issue 46, High School 2021 AD. It starts with Betty going to log into high school at home decades into the future. So the writer got the future right, but won't explain the only reason it could be possible. Her father points out that she never has to carry books to school or worry about the weather. It's called a backpack. You wouldn't need to carry them anyways. Somehow she gets a call on her video phone behind her. How did she even notice it was flashing when her back was turned to it? And she's threatened with detention if she lets it happen again. Why did she keep it in her room? She could have put it in her closet. Why would Veronica call her during school hours, when she's not smart enough to graduate early? And there's no reason some students would have different school hours. It has to be that in this universe she goes to a different school with later school hours. But she'd know by now not to call her at this time anyways. Unless she just met her yesterday, this wouldn't happen. One thing the comic got wrong though is that it thought there would still be detention in 2021. I was told otherwise. But it looks like it could be funny that her closet has the words closet and detention room, and she thinks, that closed closet of mine is so claustrophobic. After school, she calls school at home dreary. It's clear that Veronica only just met her, because she would have bragged to her about how she makes school easier on her earlier. She has a screen show a special video feed of all of the other students who were all in the same room sitting in desks. So why are Betty and Veronica stuck at home, but not all of them? Betty's not rich, so that's not it. There's no reason they'd be homeschooled in this way, because if their parents were the type to want to homeschool them, they would teach them themselves. Veronica says she leaves her seat all the time without permission by replacing herself with a dummy to fool the monitor. I have to assume usually no one looks at it the moment she's making the switch. Sometimes that would happen, but she doesn't care because her closet has a TV and armchair. Veronica takes Betty on a ride and hears an explosion because Archie was conducting a chemistry experiment in his garage. And he doubts that have happened in his school, even though he makes this mistake all the time in normal Archie stories. It's hard to believe a bunch of teenagers would want to go to a museum for fun. And it's too specific that there's a high school museum. Betty says that the students of the past would have had fun socializing, so I guess they met each other at the mall. She's jealous of their activities, as if they wouldn't have bake sales and auto clubs in the future. The actual plot ends at this point. All that happens later is she confused her parents by not appreciating her school. This story by George Glatter had Betty and Veronica learning from school at home, but they still get to be interacted with by a teacher. And what's confusing is that not only does detention still exist, but every student other than them still goes to school the normal way. So why are Betty and her friends surprised at seeing that it happened in the past? How did Veronica have a video feed of the other students all being in the same room if they never are? It'd be too dark to explain that a pandemic is why they're educated at home. And the writer didn't predict that. But it's the only real explanation, because that didn't lead to school being permanently at home in real life. So that means it was seen as inferior. It was interesting, but disappointing. Betty 58, Reception Conception. There's a page in February 1998 where, because Sabrina mentions that her TV gets a lot of channels, Hilda brags that Magic gets you a lot more, but it takes forever to look through all the TV guides. It makes sense, though it's dated. She's pirating TV channels, and witches could zap up gold and sell it to buy whatever TV channels she wants. And in the 90s comic universe, I doubt she would be opposed to doing that. So this means that a lot of witches don't pay for TV channels, even though they very easily could. And that's less money going around. This must not have been on comics.org when I last checked it, because how else did I miss this?